Welcome back to the Homes on Homes podcast. I'm Mike Holmes. I started this podcast to keep educating people on how to make it right, just like I've been doing for over 20 years on television. Here, you'll find raw, unscripted conversations with experts on building healthy homes, choosing quality products, safety at home, and more. Let's get started. Andrew, welcome to the very first Homes on Homes podcast. I understand you are a building, what do you call it?
Biologist.
Biologist. You said something just a second ago that really rang something to me, future viruses. In the past many years, we've started to be more aware of viruses coming out. HN1, which one is that again? H1N1?
Yeah, H1N1.
So H1N1, we knew about that. We knew about SARS. But all of a sudden, out comes the COVID-19 and just shuts down the planet. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't think anyone else has. And is this going to happen again? I'm actually rather positive it is.
I agree with you, and I think we have to rethink things. What's wonderful is all the world's scientists and eyes are on this because of how devastating this has been. Everyone's pet project has now become COVID, which is wonderful in terms of doing it. We're learning more and more about the aerolization of this virus and that in fact it travels further than we thought it did in doing it. And there's a biological nature that HEPA won't get you to, which we now need to introduce another technology, and there's just not enough information out there as to whether these technologies are able to get it. But we will get there. There's enough minds, brilliant people, universities, labs studying it to understand the virus. What we do know, open your windows, dilute it. Dilution is the greatest way of being able to do it. From a building biology perspective, we have 4 ways that we approach this. Number 1 is we eliminate any VOC coming into the home as much as possible by trying to spec materials with low formaldehyde, low VOC content. If we can't eliminate it, as an example, some feature in the garage and the way that it comes into the house, if you got that indoor-outdoor access point from the garage, then we isolate it. We'll air seal that area and make sure that we're not getting the off-gassing from your car or anything that you have in the garage. We can't isolate it, then let's ventilate it. Let's get it out of here. Let's push it right out. Because we now know that the virus and other particles, if you dilute them, they're less dangerous. And if we can't do that, then we filtrate.
Talk about irony. I feel so much irony happening right now. And let me explain why I'm using that word. More and more today, I'm seeing everyone wear a mask. Smartest thing we could have ever done due to COVID-19. Why? We reduce the risk of spittles putting onto someone else and vice versa, getting them back again. We're forgetting about our hands. That's the number 1 thing.
Yeah.
What we touch, door handles, keeping these hands clean, don't touch the eyes, don't touch the nose. That's how you introduce the virus into your body. The mask seems to turn off a switch inside and we forget about our hands. Now, I don't want to say everyone's doing it. I'm saying the majority is doing it. And you can tell by walking around watching people play with their mask. They're shopping, touching things, playing with their mask. Right away, whatever they're touching, they could pick up the spore. They could pick up the virus and now bring it into their mask system. The more you touch it, the more you play. The mask is a great example of filtration when it comes to your home, because right now it's a personal filtration system of being in the public, which we're actually paying attention to. But as soon as we get home, we take that mask off and forget that we still need a filtration system inside the body of our homes. Because now our lungs is the filtration system. It's supposed to be that filter in the furnace. It's supposed to be, if you have a HEPA filter. One of the things I tell everyone right now, and I did this in the story the other day to a woman that was just standing there. She's buying a humidifier. She's telling me she's getting nosebleeds at night. I said, you should also not just buy that because you're going to need it. I can tell there's not a humidifier in your furnace. But you see this air cleaner right here? It's $100. You should buy one for every floor of the house and run it 24 hours a day. And just get used to it. Because what that's going to do is be that backup of cleaning the air constantly that we need, hence what you're talking about. If you can't ventilate it, if you've got to close it off, you still need to clean it. The one thing I keep saying over and over again is we don't see what's in the air. But I can tell you there's all kinds of crap in the air. You know there is, and I know there is. And it's something that we need to pay a hell of a lot more attention to, because today, right now, everyone's sitting at home, and my God, every contractor I know, every window guy, roofing guy, everyone I know cannot keep up with the demand of people that are working on their homes. The one thing they're not doing is filtrating the air. They're doing a new kitchen, a new bathroom, a new deck in the backyard, a new roof, new windows. This is what I'm seeing. But we're not paying attention to the actual problem that we face, which is air quality.
Yes. And it's a challenge. And I experienced it this summer a little bit because I couldn't find cement. Every store was out of cement in my neighborhood. And so, the amount of dumpsters I see on every 6th or 7th house on my street tells me this is what people are doing. I went the other way and I started to bake, and so that was a little bit cheaper of a direction to go. And I actually brought you something that I'd like to show you if I can.
Yes, please.
First of all, I got you a gift. This is the greatest bread knife in the world.
Oh, no way. It looks like an insulation saw. It is.
It's an insulation saw, but it's the greatest knife in the world.
That's a bat insulation saw. But you know what? It cuts it so well, it wouldn't surprise me that it cuts bread.
There's one better looking than the other, so we'll get the better one. So I baked this morning.
Did you
for
really?
You.
I'm a huge bread fan. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
I'm a huge bread fan.
So
you don't have one. You don't have a knife open, do you?
No, you can open that knife, and we can just disinfect it.
Is there an easier way?
Yeah, for sure. It's. I'd love to see what the crumb of that bread looks like.
So you made some bread. Is there something healthy about this?
Yes, it's organic. It's organic. Just like the house we're building, everything is organic. So it's sourdough bread. It's actually 72 hours process for doing it, and it helps you with stress. 72 hours for the levain to. I presume it's in plastic. We should be okay.
We should be okay. I'll use my shirt. I am a contractor.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that bread knife, now listen to the cut. See, it's like a saw.
Oh, it is. I almost want my reciprocating saw. This looks really good. This is almost like, I'll use my chop saw.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring something even more crazy, but I thought, you know what? We just got to know each other. So not yet, not yet.
This is too cute. Okay, so we'll take a little piece.
Yeah, take a little piece. There you go. And try that.
Now, I don't know if you've been hearing my stomach growling and it just made you, pull out your bread. You want to grab a piece?
Yeah, sure. We'll just try a little piece there.
So this is therapeutic for you.
So I started in 2019, so I'm not part of the complete COVID craziness, but you can't find flour in stores.
I know.
And so that was crazy.
Went from toilet paper to hair products, hair coloring, only because nobody could do their hair, to now lumber, concrete, like you said, or cement inside the stores. Windows. My window guy is telling me windows and doors are actually on order for at least 6 months. Nobody's going to get them.
It's tough. And as I watched, like a neighbor on the other side of the street, I don't know him, and his wood got delivered. He's basically putting an addition above his garage, and thought that this would be better than moving in terms of his expanding family. And I watched while they dropped the trusses on his garden, all the 2x4s on the grass, and it sat there for a month with rain on top of it. And so now you got, wood shouldn't be by code higher than 19% moisture content. So now you've got all this wonderful virgin wood being
at 100%.
At 100%, and just only a couple of weeks ago, I saw them actually put it in, actually using it. So I understand people have to move it. They had to get it to the home. But it's unfortunate that happened because they're starting off on the wrong foot.
Absolutely, yes. And this is what they do in big house builds. And so normally new subdivisions, they drop down the lumber. The foundation's going in, it sits in the weather. They don't tarp up the house. I mean, I do. They're not going to do that simply because it costs a lot of money. And it's supposedly allowed to sit there. The house is being built in the outdoor environment anyways. This tends to lead me back to building homes inside. So pre-built homes.
Yes.
And being delivered and craned in place. They're so controlled. I never did like them at first, I'll be honest. I never did like them. My problems that I saw was the joining of the rooms, how they did plug and play systems years ago. Today, on the market, bang for the buck is a pre-built home is the best home you can actually get. Now add less VOCs, add a great air cleaning system, add less mold induced products, and now you're actually onto something. That really bothers me, seeing that wood sit there for so long, knowing that it's 100%, knowing that they're going to put it up and they're not going to reduce that moisture inside the house. There is a code that says they're not supposed to put up the drywall unless the lumber's in the 19%, which you said, and that's the outdoor structure. You can't put up the drywall. It's supposed to pull out that moisture out of the wood, but it's such a piecework assembly line now, and I'm talking houses everywhere, that it's no longer really paid attention to.
The homeowner, if he or she is educated, it's a $15, $20 probe at Canadian Tire or your local Home Depot or Lowe's.
You can test it yourself.
And you can test it yourself. You stick it in, and you'll get a reading. It's so simple in terms of doing it. The average consumer, maybe we can forgive them and they don't know, but a builder, mass production track builder, many times I drive by sites and I see it in mud. And it's really unfortunate. What we're doing inside our home is we're introducing hygroscopic materials that can absorb excess moisture. They're not going to take a fully wet home that's spewing off water vapor like concrete or something of that nature, but it'll give you that little buffer. And so by adding cork that absorbs water, by adding open clay that's not been...
Cork's also sound suppression.
Yes.
It's also an R value. People don't realize this.
Incredibly environmentally friendly. It grows real fast. The tree's not hurt. And as long as we don't go all crazy for it, because that's not good either. But by having open pore wood, as an example, that's not, there isn't polyurethane on it that it can't breathe, which now makes it functionless. It just has a structure and it maybe looks pretty, but it was also able to control some moisture. And so we're balancing that off. We're trying to figure out what is the right, is it 25% of the surface space, is it 10% of the surface space, just to give you that buffer so that when there's excess moisture, it'll absorb it. And then when it goes dry, it's got something to give back.
So Andrew's talking about that layer you're going to see on the sheathing on the outside of your home. And the outside is supposed to have that water resistant barrier. The inside, and it's organic, much like our bodies, we can absorb just like the wood. Moisture, everything, we absorb everything through our skin. That barrier now is supposed to stop the vapor drive from coming in, much like the vapor barrier on the inside of the home. And there's an argument between the US and Canada when it comes to this, but it doesn't matter. Every time I go back to this, no matter what I look at the building envelope is, we've been doing it wrong for years. We need to thermal break the outside of the home. The first thing we need to do, build your structure, thermal break it from the outside. Difference between a thermal barrier and thermal break is thermal barrier, bat insulation vapor barrier system, still allows hot to meet cold. Thermal breaking the outside stops hot from meeting cold. So we stop that very first food group of moisture. That house can be built in the hottest climate or in the coldest climate, and that's what we should be really looking at when it comes to building science, not to mention a healthy home. This bread is incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm really liking it. One more thing I really want to talk about is radon gas. This is, again, I don't know how many times I have to film this to let people know the worries that we have. Out of everything we just talked about, radon gas is right up there with really bad stuff we're breathing in every day. It is the #1 leading cause of lung cancer besides cigarettes. #1. And it's all over the planet. Governments don't know what to do about it. Real estate companies don't know what to do about it. It's not that when you buy a new house now, it must have a radon test done on the property. Allowable levels is 200. It's the number on the Becquerel scale of radon gas. One thing I'm going to tell you at my house. When I started to learn about radon gases, and not just because it comes from decomposed stone in the ground, radiates through the ground into your home. My house with the 10 acres was in the area of, if I remember, about 110 becquerels. It was pretty low, even though I believe our standards are still kind of a high number, not a low number.
I agree.
The house right across the street from me was over 200 becquerels, and we had to introduce radon cleaning system, ventilation system, and little did I know at the time was that the well across the street, it was 5 acres, radon's in the water. Until we tested it, I had no idea, which means every time you open the tap inside your home, if there's radon in the water, it will come up and off gas inside the house. It comes with the water and just pours into your house as an air. Who would have thought? We had to put a radon ventilation system on the well. You're working in radon too, aren't you?
Yes, yes. We're going to put an active radon system. You can go passive, which just basically means you use physics to create a decompression point, and you have the air make its way through the piping system, and it's emitted safely, and code has requirements for what that means. We're putting a motorized system in, which we feel is the right way to go.
Now, is that an interior weeping system inside the home?
Yes.
Okay, so what Andrew's talking about here is this is an inside weeping system. It's 2-in-1. So it not only grabs any moisture in the ground on the inside of the home, but it will actually, because it's porous, it will, with little drilled holes in it, it will grab the air, radon, vent it outside of the house 24 hours a day. This should be minimum code in every single home, because it is a way of what you said not too long ago to exhaust that air. Now, not only will it exhaust radon, it also can help exhaust any other air and create an air movement system within the home.
Including water vapor, which is really another, people don't think water vapor is a toxin, but it is. Done at the right level, it's not good. It's not healthy for you.
So little things we could do, and I like this because the house you're doing to test this out is trying to cover all aspects of our discussion right now. And I guess it's going to take people like you and I to not only let the world know what we need to pay attention to, stop with the kitchen, stop with the bathroom, stop with all these renos without thinking of healthy for your children especially. We tend not to do it for ourselves. But to maybe work with organizations, big builder companies, and governments everywhere for solutions. Because today, COVID-19, man, I'm worried about tomorrow, what's coming. And what can we do about it now in simplicity to help ourselves? First and foremost, a couple of air cleaners inside the house with a HEPA filter, right? You don't have to do the whole HEPA filter house furnace system. Standalone units, put one on each floor, #1. #2, control the humidity inside your home. #3, pay attention to the VOCs and the products that are in your house, because that's going to be important. Don't just wear a mask. Make it right. You're good, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hopefully we will be able to change the world.
It's funny because I've been doing this 20 years now, as a contractor 40 years, but 20 years on television, and I thought I would have changed it really quick. And no, people are paying attention, just it's taken an awful long time. So we're going to have to keep moving in this direction for that change to happen.
I have a few simple things that people can do if you think that it would be important to share, that they don't have to actually spend any money.
Please, I want to hear it.
So given everything that we're all locked inside the home, there's some easy things to do. #1, take your shoes off. there's hundreds of thousands of bacteria units per square inch under your shoes.
Good point.
So take your shoes off. You're in your house. You don't know what you've stepped on, where you've gone, what's in place. Don't challenge your own immune system with what you have. Open the windows. And if you're buying new windows, make sure that you get windows that are operable, that are easy to open and easy to close, so that you'll want to open them. And open windows at different angles so you're getting a good cross ventilation coming in. Every morning I wake up wanting an espresso, but I'm disciplined now. I let my water run for a few minutes, and I let the lead and all the other chemicals that have run inside the pipes all night run out. So just turn on the water tap, a couple minutes, the water will clear and you'll get fresher water coming out of it, and you'll get better espresso with what you're doing.
Or do what I did, by reverse osmosis water.
Yes.
I do this all the time. I'm paying attention to my own personal health.
Which is great, but for those that don't have it, just running it really works. When you flush the toilet, close the lid. This way you don't get any particles jumping up, because I've read a study that it actually goes up 2 or 3 feet.
So, when you're finished with the washroom,
Yes.
close the lid, flush the toilet. That's smart. That's as smart as the shoe thing, because I never thought of that. It's when you go from, like, I've been to Africa. I helped with SOS Children's Villages. And as soon as you're in Africa or you're in a farm territory, whether it's United States coming back to Canada, first thing they say, have you been on a farm? Because they want to know what you've been walking through. That's a really good point. You can be walking that into your home.
Yeah, and as soon as you come home, wash your hands. And so even our home that we're designing in Toronto, we were going to put the main floor washroom on the ground floor before COVID. That was our idea, because does a home need 5 washrooms? But then we thought, with COVID and wanting to wash your hands, it's got to be the closest to the door as possible. Wash your hands, get it off your hands, shed whatever you've carried, and you'll keep yourself safe.
Good point. It's as simple as do not bring contaminated stuff outside of your home, inside your home.
Exactly.
Quick, simple, nice and easy.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, Andrew.
No problem.
You've been good. We're going to have to talk a lot more.
I hope so. Most people don't want to talk to me, so this is great.
If you like the show, check out the episode page on makeitright.ca for more tips. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.